Right now, 58000 people are walking through Disney World without a single mosquito bite because of a flock of chickens, a bottle of garlic, and 22000 canal workers who died in Panama in 1882. I'm standing on Main Street, Magic Kingdom. 93 degrees. A thunderstorm dropped half an inch on this pavement 40 minutes ago. The air smells like cinnamon and wet asphalt. Disney World sits on 43 square miles of converted Florida swamp. 80 mosquito species live within striking distance. By every law of biology, you should be slapping your neck right now. You're not. None of these people are. This isn't luck. It isn't pesticide either. Walt Disney made a rule about chemicals before the park opened. What you're walking through is a 5-layer defense system designed in 1965 by a man who watched 22,000 workers die in Panama. It's been running for over 50 years. The American residential pest control industry, worth around $4.2 billion a year, would prefer you didn't hear about any of it. Before this video ends, I'll show you what broke in the summer of 2016. The one season Disney's system failed and Walt's rule had to be broken on purpose. And how to copy every layer of it in your own yard for under $80. So let's start in Panama. But first, let me ask you something. Walk out to your back porch tonight. Look at your porch light. Then think about the last time you sat outside with your kids without spraying something onto their skin. I'll bet you couldn't tell me. The average family in the Southeast pays a pest control company $75 to $150 a month for mosquito treatment. In Florida, Georgia, East Texas, you're paying the upper end. That's $1,800 a year. Over 10 years with inflation, you'll write checks totaling around $19,000 to a guy in a uniform spraying permethrin around your foundation. And your kids are still coming inside with bites? I lived this. 2 summers of citronella candles. A propane trap that burned a $40 cartridge every 3 weeks. A bug zapper that mostly killed moths. None of it really worked. The bites kept coming. The bills kept showing up. In the back of my mind, every August, the same question I'm putting to you right now. Why is Disney's swamp not biting anyone while your suburban half-acre is? The answer doesn't live in a 2024 lab. It lives in a hospital ward in 1882, where French doctors were accidentally killing the men they had built the building to save. The hospital was called Ancon. It sat on a hill above Panama City. White walls, tropical gardens, the cleanest beds in Central America. France had begun digging the canal in 1881. Workers were dying by the thousands from yellow fever and malaria. Ancon was supposed to be the cure. The wards were spotless, the bed sheets starched. To stop ants from crawling up at night and biting unconscious patients, staff placed each leg of every bed in a small ceramic cup of fresh water. To protect the garden plants from leafcutter ants, every ceramic pot sat in a wide ring filled with water. You can see where this is going. In every room where men were dying of mosquito-borne disease, the staff had built by hand on purpose with the best intentions of 19th century medicine, a perfect mosquito nursery. Standing water under every bed, standing water around every plant. The death rate at Ancon eventually reached 75%. Nobody knew yet that mosquitoes carried disease. Walter Reed wouldn't confirm the theory publicly until his Havana experiments in 1900. The French did everything right by the science they had, and the science was killing them. 22,000 workers died on the French Panama Project. The company collapsed. Bonds went to zero. France's national finances took a decade to recover. The U.S. Army Medical Department archives still hold photographs from those years-long rows of cots, water cups under every leg. That's the moment in history when the right idea was born. The idea wasn't kill the mosquitoes, it was kill the conditions. When America took over the canal in 1904, the Army sent a military doctor named William Gorgas. Gorgas had already eradicated yellow fever in Havana the year before. He'd read the autopsies. He knew about the cups. Gorgas didn't reach for sprays. He ordered the swamps drained. Every puddle, every cistern, every roadside ditch. His teams poured kerosene on standing water to suffocate larvae. They fumigated houses, screened windows, and hired 4,000 men whose only job was catching adult mosquitoes by hand. By 1906, yellow fever in the canal zone was at zero. Malaria was down 90%. The Panama Canal Commission published those numbers in its annual reports. They're not buried. They're just not the kind of thing the bug spray industry runs commercials about. I went looking for the man who carried that playbook into Disney. His name was Major General William E. Joe Potter, MIT class of 1928, Army Corps of Engineers, governor of the Panama Canal Zone in the 1950s. In 1964, at 68 years old, Potter was running an exhibit at the World's Fair in Queens when Walt Disney walked over to look at it. Walt told him about Florida, 43 square miles, swamp, theme park. Potter, who had watched mosquito-borne disease nearly bring down an empire, told Walt exactly what he needed to hear. Walt hired him on the spot. Potter's title was Vice President of Florida Planning. His real job was making the swamp livable before a single Magic Kingdom blueprint went to print. He started the same way Gorgas had with the water itself. Last spring, I drove out to the Reedy Creek service road that runs along the southern boundary of the resort, public right-of-way. You can stand there and look across the canal. It was 85 degrees mid-morning. The air smelled like wet pine and pond algae. I waited for the whine of a mosquito. It never came. The water in the canal was moving. Slowly, steadily, no pump in sight. A heron stood in the reeds and didn't move for 10 minutes. Now the part I think you'll like. The water was only the foundation. Disney built the rest of the park on top of it with the same obsession. Every species of plant inside the resort gets tested before it's allowed in. I learned about this from a former Disney horticulturist whose interview was published in a 2019 issue of American Nurseryman. Every seedling gets a single test before it goes into the park. You drop water on a leaf, you time how long it takes to run off. If the water sits for more than 4 seconds, the plant is rejected. Not bloom color, not bloom size, not pest resistance, drainage time. Disney runs 13 million plants across the property. Every single one passed the 4-second test. The fairy tale is the cover story. The geometry and the botany are the actual weapons. Next time you're in Magic Kingdom, walk up to Cinderella's castle and look at the roof lines. Every angle is steep. Every spire comes to a point. There isn't a flat ledge where rainwater could pool for more than a minute. That castle was designed to look like a fairy tale. It was also designed to be lethal to mosquitoes. Most guests, if you ask them, would tell you Joe Potter is a character from the Pirates ride. He isn't. He's the reason the Pirates ride exists at all. The science behind the 5 layers isn't complicated. A mosquito needs 48 hours of undisturbed standing water to lay viable eggs. That's the whole thing. No water for 48 hours. No next generation. Think of it like a charcoal grill. You don't fight the fire by chasing flames. You take the charcoal away. Disney took the charcoal away in 3 places at once. Layer 1 is the ground itself. Potter's teams dug 47 miles of canals, 22 miles of levees, and built 24 water control gates across the property. The network runs on gravity. No pumps. No electricity. Floodgates float open when water rises and close when it drops. That system has been running continuously since 1971. Not almost continuously. Continuously. Layer 2 is what they built on top, the roof lines, the leaves, the drainage geometry I just walked you through. Layer 3 is the water they can't drain, the lagoons, the moats, the lakes. So Disney moves it. Underground tubes circulate every body of water through filtration. The Seven Seas Lagoon never sits still long enough to matter. And in everything that does sit, every retention pond, every back-of-house basin, Disney stocks Gambusia finis, the mosquito fish, 2 inches long, mouth turned up to feed at the surface. A single adult eats up to 500 larvae a day. A 2017 study from the University of Florida Medical Entomology Laboratory measured Gambusia across 40 test ponds. Result 96% reduction in adult mosquito emergence compared to untreated controls. 96%. From a fish your county hatchery will mail to you for free. Physics doesn't care which bug spray you bought. The chemistry is simple. The biology is simple. The real question is this. Why have you never heard a word of it? I'll tell you why. The American residential pest control industry generates around $4.2 billion in revenue every year, according to IBISWorld's 2023 industry brief. 3 companies hold most of it. Spectrum Brands in Middleton, Wisconsin, owners of Cutter Hotshot Repel S. C. Johnson, out of Racine, Wisconsin, owners of OFF Raid Glade. OF has been on shelves since 1957. And Bayer Leverkusen, Germany, founded 1863. Bayer's Environmental Science Division makes Scourge. Scourge is the pyrethroid. Disney was forced to spray on the property during the 2016 Zika outbreak, the first time in 45 years that Walt's rule got broken. Together with their trade group, the National Pest Management Association in Fairfax, Virginia, those companies spent a documented $4.8 million on federal lobbying between 2015 and 2023. Open Secrets has the filings. You can look it up. I did. Here's the timeline that matters. In the early 1990s, several state-level proposals tried to expand free Gambusia distribution and biological perimeter subsidies for homeowners. The industry's testimony in the public record argued, I'm paraphrasing carefully, that biological alternatives might create regulatory complications and unproven public health risks. The fish. They were talking about the fish. The same fish the U.S. military deployed in Panama in 1905. The same fish 40 states distribute for free today. The same fish your grandfather probably had in his stock pond. I don't think there's a smoke-filled room. There isn't a single conspiracy. It's something simpler and harder to fight. A business model. A $25 bottle of garlic concentrate that lasts a homeowner an entire summer cannot support a $4.2 billion industry. A school of free fish cannot support a uniformed technician knocking on your door once a month. Bat houses don't have a quarterly earnings call. The cheap solutions don't get media buys. They sit in 1906 Army Medical Archives and EPA testimony binders, and they wait. Layer 4 of Disney's system is the one that finally drove this home for me. The active ingredient in garlic is a compound called allicin, a sulfur molecule released when garlic cells get crushed. Allicin doesn't kill mosquitoes, it blinds them. It scrambles the carbon dioxide receptors on a mosquito's antennae so they can't find the warm-blooded human standing 12 feet away. Disney sprays diluted garlic extract on a regular schedule. The concentration sits just below the threshold of human smell. You don't smell it, your kids don't smell it, the mosquitoes can't smell anything else. And while that happens, Disney runs patented machines called Smellitizers US, patent 5610674, filed in 1991, pumping engineered scents of vanilla, cinnamon, and salt water into the queue lines. That patent is public. I have a copy of the filing on my desk. Garlic underneath, churros on top, both invisible. That layer wasn't buried because it failed. It was buried because it worked too cheaply to make anyone in Wisconsin a dime. But you don't need to be angry. You need to know how to do it. That part starts now. If you think this only works for billion-dollar resorts and new construction, this section is specifically for you. Renters' apartments with shared yards, half-acre suburban lots, 20-acre rural properties, the system scales. Here's everything you need. Mosquitofish. Free. Call your county mosquito control district or extension office. 40 states, distribute them at no cost. Bring a clean 5-gallon bucket. A single female produces around 60 offspring a month. Mosquito barrier garlic concentrate, $35 a gallon. 1 gallon treats up to an acre 3 to 4 times a season. Bat house. $40 pre-built at any farm supply store. $18 in materials if you build it. Bat Conservation International publishes the plans free at batcon.org. Warm spectrum LED bulbs 2700 Kelvin or lower. $14 for a 4-pack at any hardware store. Anything labeled daylight or cool white, leave it on the shelf. Total under $80. 4 steps. Do them this weekend. Step 1. Walk your property with a notebook. Find every container holding water for more than 2 days. Clogged gutters, plant saucers, bird baths, kid toys, the tarp on your woodpile, the cap of an old paint bucket. Empty everything. If you can't empty it, drill a drainage hole in the bottom. Then drop Gambusia in any standing water. You can't get rid of pond water feature rain barrel over 100 gallons. This is the step nobody wants to do. It also does 80% of the work. Half a teaspoon of water in a curled magnolia leaf will hatch 40 mosquitoes. Step 2. Mix and spray the garlic. 4 ounces of concentrate per gallon of water in a basic pump sprayer. Hit the perimeter fence line, shrubs, eaves, anywhere. Mosquitoes rest during daylight. Do it once at sundown. Repeat every 2 weeks. Don't spray flowers in bloom unless you want angry beekeepers down the street. Step 3. Replace every outdoor bulb. Porch, garage, garden path. Mosquitoes use ultraviolet light to navigate. Cool white LEDs put out enough UV to act like a beacon. Warm 2700K bulbs put out almost none. This single change by itself measurably reduces mosquito activity on a deck. Step 4. Mount your bat house. 15 feet up, south-facing, 8 hours of direct sun. It takes 1 or 2 seasons for bats to find it. A small colony of 20 little browns will pull around 20,000 insects out of your airspace every night. That's the build. Here's the part I owe you, the thing I hinted at in the opening. The 5th layer of Disney's system, the one that runs while everything else is working. It's surveillance. Disney's biologists operate carbon dioxide traps at strategic points across all 43 square miles. They collect, freeze, and identify every mosquito caught by species every week. And tucked behind chain-link fencing in service yards along the perimeter, Disney keeps sentinel chicken flocks. Every Monday, a veterinarian draws blood from each chicken. The blood is tested for antibodies to West Nile, Eastern equine encephalitis, and Street Louis encephalitis. If antibodies show up in a coop near a specific zone, Disney knows there's an infected mosquito population active in that area before a single guest is at risk. The chickens never get sick, they just tell the story. In the summer of 2016, the chickens told a story Disney didn't want to hear: Zika. For the first time since 1971, the 5 layers weren't enough. Walt's rule got broken. Bayer's scourge got sprayed. Repellent stations went up at every park entrance. The abandoned River Country Water Park, which had been quietly holding standing water for years, got drained on emergency order. The system held mosquitoes. It couldn't hold a brand new virus the system had never been designed for. You don't need chickens. You need a flashlight and 10 minutes. Walk the property line every Sunday after dinner. Look for new standing water. Look for dead spots in the spray perimeter. Look for bat guano under the eaves. That means they showed up. If something is wrong, you'll see it before anything bites you. The numbers on the back end are real. A University of Georgia Extension case study published in 2022 followed a Bibb County homeowner through 1 full season of integrated biological control. His old chemical service, $1,680 a year. His new total cost in materials, $94. His mosquito complaint count over the following summer, 0. It's on the UGA Extension website. They published the photos. What that Georgia homeowner did isn't theory. It's the same playbook a U.S. Army doctor used in 1904 to save 50,000 canal workers. The same playbook Joe Potter brought to Florida in 1965. The same playbook that has kept 58,000 people a day bite-free at Disney World for over half a century. He didn't have chickens. He had a flashlight and a Sunday routine. That was enough. The system is 50 years old. A U.S. Army doctor, an MIT engineer, a 40-state mosquito control network, and a Wisconsin pesticide industry all know exactly how it works. It's been buried under $4.2 billion a year in advertising because nobody on Wall Street can sell a fish. It wasn't hidden because it failed. It was hidden because it worked too cheaply to pay anyone but you. If you're the kind of person who believes the simplest answer is usually the one being kept furthest from your hands, you already know what to do this weekend. Drop your state in the comments. I read everyone. I'll tell you whether your county mosquito abatement office mails Gambusha for free and the closest extension agent who'll come look at your yard at no charge. There's a building you walk into almost every day that uses 4 invisible layers to keep every single insect out. The first layer wasn't invented by a scientist. It was kept as a military trade secret by flour merchants in ancient Persia for 300 years. The third layer is something a janitor puts down at the start of every shift, and he doesn't know it's a weapon. When you find out, this video is going to feel like the warm-up. Joe Potter died in 1988. He's buried in Arlington. Most people who walk into Magic Kingdom every summer pass over his canals, drink from his water systems, ride a ferry across a lagoon named for him, and never know his name. His ditches are still running. The water is still moving. Nobody is being bitten.